Hi guys, so this is Rahul, and in today's video, I am going to talk about let's talk about topic or let's talk about area for people with commerce background. Like suppose somebody has pursuing BCom or related field, and they might some of them, not everybody, but some of them might be thinking, okay, can I make a career in IT? So what are their chances and what should be their path? So I wanted to talk about it from a very long time. So I thought today to make a video on this thing. So hope people with commerce background will really like this video and get something out of this thing. Okay, so yeah, so the first question is that can people with BCom make career in IT? So answer is yes. People with BCom background are working in IT in different fields. They are working. Sometimes they need some certifications or some kind of diploma, like diploma or some kind of additional IT related courses. Sometimes it is beneficial for some of them to show. For example, let's suppose somebody has done a PGDCA, that is of 1 year from IGNU or some. So that is a good thing. You can show your highest degree as PGDCA instead of BCom. But even if you've not done that thing, then also there is a good option. So I'm going to talk about it one by one. Okay. So what are the options? So the very first option is UI design. So what do I mean with UI design? So when we see any website, okay, so somebody has made the design of that thing. So one thing is graphics design. So a graphics designer will make the layout and how it will look and feel. So that is the work of graphics designer. And then to convert that thing into something which can be loaded on a website as a web page. That is the work of a HTML programmer, or we can say HTML or CSS programmer. So basically, HTML CSS program is not actually programming, coding, but it is some kind of like learning the way HTML CSS works. So that is one of the area where degree is irrelevant, whether you're from BCom, BA, whatever degree, doesn't matter because that is purely a design related field. So companies hardly look for like doesn't matter what is your degree, you can easily make it into this thing. Okay, so I've already written the topics which you need to like master. So CSS is the main thing. Like CSS is used for designing the web pages, so that you have to master if you really want to become a UI designer, and that is a very good scope of this thing. Salary wise, you will earn not very high salary. So this percentage figure I have given because I want to compare with the maximum salary. So the maximum salary, if you can get in as 100, so in UI design you will not get that to that level. So I have given like approx 50 to 60% of what your developer friends or colleagues will be like earning. You will not earn more than 50 to 60%. If you're exceptional, you can go higher, but generally it will not be more than 50 to 55% or 60% as max as compared to developer. Okay, so this is the first of the thing, one of the thing which you can target. Second is if you heard about most of the websites which is running, okay, are made in WordPress. So WordPress is a PHP based framework which is used for making. Here also you don't need to learn any programming in WordPress. So in WordPress, so this is actually my mistake. I have to remove this thing. So this will be not here. This is actually here only. I have my mistake is get copied. So in WordPress also there is no need of learning any programming language just like JavaScript or Java or any Python, nothing. So in these two fields there is no programming required. UI design, no programming required, and WordPress also no coding required, no programming languages you need to learn. Only how the WordPress work, how HTML, CSS work, that is sufficient. Okay. Now I've written rejection. Here also degree is irrelevant. Doesn't matter what is your degree. You can easily make up into this field. WordPress. Okay. Competition is medium, not very low, very high. It's good. And salary also you can earn like not a very less salary, a decent salary you can earn as a WordPress developer. But compared to like if you see compared to like a proper IT developer, it will be 60%, just assume 50 to 60%. So that is there. So everything has a pros and cons. Okay, but the thing is, it is easy to learn. It is not very hard. So it doesn't require you to learn programming language. So that is the thing. Other thing is Shopify. Shopify is used for making e-commerce website. There also you don't need to learn any programming language. You have to learn just HTML and CSS only. So if I can copy this thing, yeah, same thing. Okay. So here also you need to know front end, how does the front end works, basic of that, and then how this Shopify works. So there's no coding required as such in all these three fields. So if you want to work into IT and you don't want to do coding and programming a very advanced level of logic, you can think of these three fields. It is easier, degree is irrelevant, and company will pay a good salary, not very high, not very low. If you can see, if you are a good e-commerce developer, company is paying a good salary also. But yeah, to earn good salary, sometimes they are expecting you to be a developer, like you should know JavaScript or React JS or Angular. So then you can earn a little bit more salary. If you don't know programming, then your salary will be similar to the WordPress or UI. So again, it depends on what skills you add in future. Okay, so programming, if you know coding, it is always a plus if you're thinking for a higher salary. Okay, so just think about these things. Now, what is UI development? So UI development is more towards like JavaScript. So if I've written here, it is more towards the yeah, it's more towards the JavaScript. Okay, and less, it is less. I will say this is the designing skills should be less. You don't need to be a master in CSS and anything. Okay, for UI development, you need to know HTML basics, CSS basics, but programming you need to know properly, like JavaScript, and then you need to know some other like the latest frameworks such as Angular or React and all those things. Okay. Here also the rejection would be there. Many companies will say, okay, you don't have a proper IT degree, they may reject you, but that will be less. Not every company will reject you. Majority of company will accept you in UI development. Okay. So in UI development, degree is like little bit less relevant. It is relevant but less, very less relevant. Okay, so you can think about this thing also seriously, and this also pays very good salary. So UI development, I've written here, it pays you very high salary. It sometimes pay more than this thing, but this is the average I've taken. So yeah, it can pay you almost 80% of what maximum people are earning. So it is a very nice salary, very good salary, and good career, long-term career also. So just think about this thing. Ionic mobile app is also like UI development, but on the mobile app itself. So in mobile app also you need UI developers. For that thing we have Ionic framework, other frameworks like Flutter, and I've not written that thing. Flutter and React Native and all those. So you can think about that thing. There also you need to know coding, programming. You need to learn JavaScript, or depending on the framework, it may change. Okay, so uh, but the rejection will be higher because this is more high end, little bit more technical. So if you have technical knowledge, fine. If you have less technical knowledge about how mobile app works, what are the different things, then there's high chance of getting the rejection. So always you, when you are deciding something, you have to look at the overall picture. Don't just see, okay, this is a very good salary, but you have to also look in this figure. What is the rejection? What is the chance of? What is the competition? Then the result will come. What is your final right decision based on all these factors? So I'm giving you a high level of overview, which will help you in deciding the final thing. Okay, so this is also very good career. Think about this thing. Yeah, and given the salary is also good. Okay, competition is not very high because very few people are learning mobile app development. So this is very good chance where you make a good career. Now these are .NET Node.js. Yes, these are proper IT technologies, like proper. This is also IT, but this is more towards the like backend and going deep dive into technology. So this is not easy to like get a job because this will people companies prefer BTech guys, MCA people, and all those things. So here your chances will be just opposite. Like 70% of the company or more than will reject you because of your degree, because you're a become people, you're not from computers. Okay, but there would be some companies, small scale startups, which depending on how much skill you acquired on these things may give you a job. I can give you one more option if possible. If you want to work in these things like a little bit advanced IT technologies, uh, do a PGDST. Even it is a distance learning from IGNO or something, and you can show this thing as your highest qualification instead of BCom. Then it will look like you are a computer guy. Okay, so try this technique if you are looking for a short-term course like 1 year. We can't go beyond less than 1 year, so at least some degree will be better for you if you want to go in this thing in future. Or currently, if you directly want to do, you can do a first a PGDC and then try for these jobs. And you can see once you do PGDC, this number will change. This number I've written 70% rejection, 80% rejection is based on the BCom. If you're currently as a BCom, yeah. If you do PGDC, thing will change. Okay, you will be as at par with the BCA people or not BTech, I will not say, but yeah, at least with BCA people and BSc people, you will par. So the company will accept you much better than these numbers. Okay. Now competition also you have to understand. Here the Node.js and .NET competition is not very high. Java is also low, I will say, medium and low. Python is little bit high. Not I will not say little bit high. It is on higher side only because nowadays everybody is learning, trying to learn Python. So uh, yeah, so that you have to figure again. Companies will not prefer you. 80% company will get in this Java and 80%. I will not suggest you go for these things. Even .NET Node.js at the first stage. So try to think about these many fields where the rejection is less and you are getting a good salary itself. And think about competition. If you're very good in programming, you're doing from long time from your school days, you're confident about programming, and you want to again try into that thing, then you can think about these things. So always think about the competition, rejection, everything. Look at the overall picture. Just don't think about the salary, because salary will only get when you crack the interview and you get the interview calls. So think about the overall picture. Apart from this, I will strongly advise don't go for this thing at all. Just forget about this thing. This is much hyped field, the real thing you don't know. Plus, you are from non-IT background, you don't have programming experience, you don't have computer science experience. So it is very hard to make into this thing. Okay. And the reason will be very, very high. Okay. Competition is also very high. Even if you learn it, competition, even let's suppose for one instance, if you just forget about your degree, then also the competition is very, very high, even for computer science guys. So I will not advice at all. Okay, it is up to you. If you really want to take a chance, no issues. But else, don't think about this thing. Salary is as good as, and this is also a myth that salary is very high. No, salary is as good as like Java, Python, .NET, Node.js. It is not like these people are earning the highest. It is also a myth. So don't believe those people. Now the last is DevOps also is something. Sometimes you have heard about DevOps. What is DevOps? System security, cloud, and all those things. This also I consider, don't consider, like, even if you're considering this 5%, 2%, that is fine, but don't consider even it 1% also, because these things require you to have proper computer science background, like a BTech background or a MCA background, because these things require a lot of, like, you need to know operating system, networking, lot of things. Okay, learning this is not very hard because you can directly start with learning programming, Python, Java. You can do in 6 months. But these things you can't learn in 6 months because you have to have a proper degree for these things. Okay? Company will not consider it at all, except maybe 1%. But it's up to you now what you to do. And if you really want to go into these things, then you go for higher studies, do a MC something, then think about this thing. Okay. So with this, I will end the video. I guess you will like this video. And if you're a BCom guy, if you're pursuing commerce, or if you have already working somewhere, you want to make it, you can think about these things. Okay. So with this thing, thank you very much, and let's see you next video.